if you've been seeing some of my videos, you've been seeing them in the shorts. That's because they've been packaged for reels and shorts across social media. I want to focus more on doing real YouTube videos, and this is going to be my first one where I attempt to send this directly to you for you to enjoy. And the first topic I want to talk about is something that's kind of interesting to me, and I'm very, very surprised, or maybe there's something wrong with what I think is interesting, but this is something that I think is a game changer. And I guess the thing about game changers sometimes is people don't know that they were game changers until the game has changed. I'll let you be the judge, and this is why I'm doing this. I want the YouTube audience to see this and have this longer format for you to take the time to sit and listen rather than just scrolling and passing by. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the US steel sale to Japan Steel, Nippon Steel as it's known. I'll just refer to it as Japan Steel. It's just easier for people to comprehend. So Japan Steel has been trying to buy US steel, I don't know how far it goes back, but it goes back at least 6, 8 months, a year maybe. Biden rejected the deal. Trump came in and rejected the deal. Why did they reject the deal? Because they didn't want Japan Steel to come in, buy US steel, then close down US steel production and make all US steel purchases through Japan Steel. That is, no more steel being produced in the US. All steel comes from Japan. It wouldn't necessarily work out like that because there's a whole thing about all the different kinds of steel that these two different entities make. But generally, that is something that is worth worrying about, especially when something like steel production is a kind of national security risk. So it was not surprising that Biden rejected it, not surprising that then Trump rejected it, and Nippon Steel, Japan Steel, kept coming back with further offers, and they tried to ensure that they were going to invest in steel production, keep producing in the US, but there was still always this underlying concern that they would eventually reduce the amount of production in the US. So US Steel's in a lot of trouble. We've seen what's happening in the UK. I'll talk about that another time. But they've now come to an agreement, and 100% of US steel is going to be sold to Japan Steel, Nippon Steel. And this is where the game changer is. On the condition that the government, the president, has veto power. What does this mean? Who has heard of this outside of China? The US government will maintain a veto, a golden share that allows them to deny board appointments, to deny investments, to deny closures, to deny any changes that they don't approve of. So they wouldn't have any ownership. They would just have this veto power. And, colloquially, it's called a golden share. It's something like if you know about TikTok and the ban there. There are two sides to the TikTok ban, right? One side was the Chinese government wouldn't let them sell. The other side was that the US was making them sell because they didn't want a 100% Chinese-owned company having such a big presence in the US. The Chinese government, dating years back, had this policy that they would invest in companies and help them get on their way, but they couldn't sell the technologies they developed to a foreign country, a foreign company from another country. Both reasonable conditions to have on either side there. So they were in a catch-22. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't sell if they wanted to. Why? Because the Chinese government maintains a golden share veto power in ByteDance Technologies. ByteDance Technologies is the parent company of ByteDance, which owns TikTok. So this is exactly the same thing, as far as I understand it, that the President of the United States will be able to veto any board decisions that the owners of US Steel propose if they don't like it. This, to me, is a game changer. Nobody's talking about it. Not peep in the headlines. in the news. I've put a couple of videos on other platforms, nothing. I think you might have seen something on my YouTube, nothing. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And this is my first video. Thank you for joining. I hope you'll subscribe and get notifications. I'm going to do this every week, and eventually I will get better. All right. Thanks for joining. See you.